What's going on, everybody? It's Dr. Jade Teta here, and I am going to be talking to you today about something that a lot of you have been concerned about, asking about, curious about, and that is the two things inside of the 4M framework that have to do with exercise slash movement. So just as a quick reminder, the 4M framework is really what we want to be focused on when we think about the metabolism. Most people think they're doing everything right, but they're only focusing on meals, what they're eating, and metabolics, how they're exercising. There are two more things that you need to worry about: mindfulness and movement. And of course, when you hear this, mindfulness, movement, meals, and metabolics or exercise, people get confused because they say, well, Jade, what's the difference between movement and metabolics? Isn't exercise movement? So let's get this sort of squared away so you can understand a little bit about the science behind this. There are two things that science distinguishes between. One of them is called EAT, exercise associated thermogenesis. That just means the calories burned through exercise. And the other is called NEAT, non-exercise associated thermogenesis. What is the difference between these two? NEAT is just all the activity you do other than exercise. It's activity of daily living. It is low intensity stuff that is a necessity for life. Getting from point A to point B, doing the laundry, gardening, taking out the trash, going up the steps, fidgeting, picking things up, putting things down, parking and walking to get the groceries or go to the grocery store, running errands, going out to get the mail. All of these things are running to the bathroom, right? Back and forth. All of these things burn a huge amount of calories. Here's what we know. Movement is actually a bigger piece of the metabolic puzzle than is exercise. In other words, NEAT contains 20% of the changeable metabolism. All those things add up that you're doing from day to day in and day out, and within the day. Whereas with exercise, you only have 30 minutes to do that work. So here's what we know by the research. We know that if you take one person, sit them down, they do not move pretty much all day, but then they go and do a workout, 20 or 30-minute intense workout, and that's it, but are pretty sedentary all day, versus someone who never goes and works out but is up and moving all day. The person who is up and moving all day, the person doing the NEAT versus the EAT, tends to be healthier and tends to be leaner. In other words, you now need to understand that movement is more important than exercise. So how do you get this movement in? Think about accumulating steps, right? So a lot of us use these trackers and things like that. Typically, the recommendation is going to be about 10,000 steps per day. Now, you want to accumulate this. That's going to be about 2 hours of movement for most people, but that can be accumulated. Maybe a 10-minute walk in the morning with the dogs, a 10-minute walk in the evening with the dogs, getting up at your desk frequently to use the bathroom or go get water, taking the steps when you can, parking farther away. These kinds of things, making sure you're staying active, looking for opportunities to stand up rather than sit down. All of those kinds of things make a difference, and tracking your steps can be huge. Now, when we talk about metabolics and the exercise component, you really want to avoid doing very long workouts, very hard workouts, and primarily cardio-based stuff. Now, none of that stuff is bad if it's not overdone, but if it's overdone, it can easily push your system into a stressful state, especially those individuals who are not conditioned to do that work. One of the big mistakes that we make is we basically try to take couch potatoes and turn them into athletes right away. And what we want to do is get your body conditioned to be conditioned. Now, I know that's funny, but that's exactly how it works. This is why athletes go to spring training and don't go just right into a season. They have to condition themselves to be able to play. We need to do the same thing, to condition ourselves to be able to exercise intensely. And then when we do exercise intensely, we don't want to overdo it. And the best way to do this is to use rest-based training. Rest-based training is a way that we can individualize the intensity to each person. You can individualize the workout specifically to you so you don't overdo it. So rest-based training is critical in being able to get the right intensity, but not too much. The other thing you want to think about is when you're exercising, you want to achieve the B's and the H's: breathless, burning, heavy, and heat. We want to be efficient. Unless you're an athlete, you don't want to specialize. You want to get all of these in one workout. You don't want to just be breathless. You also want to be burning. But you don't just want to be breathless and burning. You also want to feel some strain in your workouts as well. And of course, you want to get hot and sweaty and burn some calories. That's what the short, intense, rest-based training will do for you. It's intense enough, not too much. It gets the B's and the H's. And one of the most powerful things that does is balance the growth-promoting hormones with the sort of fat-burning hormones. Cortisol is a hormone we hear a lot about. It's a stress hormone. When cortisol is by itself socializing with, let's say, insulin when you're eating, it doesn't do a great job. But if you take cortisol and put it into a fat-burning workout along with growth hormone and testosterone, you have this beautiful fat-burning hormonal soup that you can take advantage of. And so this is what you want to be thinking about. You want to be thinking about movement as well as exercise, getting lots of NEAT, 10,000 steps per day. You also want to be thinking about not overdoing exercise, especially if you're brand new to this. Condition yourself before you start doing lots of the intense stuff. And then when you do the intense stuff, you want to do it rest-based training style. You want to be looking at getting the B's and the H's, making it efficient, and you want to understand that this creates the best hormonal outcome for you. So enough, but not too much. It's not harder is better, it's better is better, smarter is better. This is the way to do that. So I hope that's helpful for you, and I will see you next time.